The White House says the U.S. Iran deal is now in effect after both President Trump and Iran's president signed it remotely. The White House Deputy Chief of Staff posted this video online last night showing the president signing the memo of understanding ahead of his dinner in Versailles with French President Emmanuel Macron. Now, a tracker from marine traffic shows vessels sailing into the Strait of Hormuz. Pakistan's prime minister, who mediated talks between the two sides, said last night Iran is immediately reopening the vital oil route. He also said the U.S. will lift its naval blockade. Now, key points of the memo include the immediate and permanent ending of military operations on all fronts, Iran's affirmation that it will not develop or procure nuclear weapons, and the commencement of 60 days of negotiations to reach a final agreement. However, President Trump says this 2-month time frame is not an absolute cutoff.
Do you see the 60 days as a hard deadline for final agreement?
No, I don't. No. Could take longer.
So you could extend. You could extend this phase.
I don't view it as hard, no.
You don't think of it as a hard deadline?
Just as long as they're behaving, I really don't care that much.
And take a look at this. For the first time in months, the average price of U.S. gasoline has fallen a fraction below a cent below $4 a gallon. But it's still about $1 higher than the average gas price when the war with Iran began. CBS News politics reporter Kathryn Watson joins us now from D.C. to discuss this. Kathryn, good morning. Talk to us about the memo, and President Trump did speak at length yesterday about his intentions and his reasoning for reaching this point. So what has the reaction been in Washington?
Yeah, well, the agreement leaves maybe as many questions as it answers. To go into some of the details, this is an agreement to a ceasefire and to start technical negotiations on Iran's nuclear program. But in a complicated negotiation like this one, the technical details can derail a deal. So this agreement allows Iran to immediately begin selling oil. It says full sanctions relief will depend on Iran's compliance with the final nuclear deal. And it says that the U.S. and partners in the Middle East commit to a $300 billion or more fund for reconstruction or investment in Iran. But what does it not say? It does not specifically put caps on uranium enrichment. We don't know whether Iran will be able to continue enriching uranium. It does not mention centrifuges. It does not bring up terrorism funding. That would have to come up in these technical talks. And it only says Iran can't charge tolls in the Strait of Hormuz for a 60-day period. It doesn't talk about the future of the strait in the long run. So these terms have earned criticism from both Democrats and Republicans. Let's listen to Chuck Schumer.
This will be regarded as one of the biggest American disasters. And it's because Trump started this war. He didn't know how to finish it. And it looks like in too many ways he has just capitulated to the Iranians.
If I'm asked to judge this on the basis of a 14-point agreement, then it's absolutely inadequate. It's also inadequate for me to form a negative opinion about it because we simply don't know, and Congress should know.
And I'd add that Republican Senator Bill Cassidy called the agreement the worst foreign policy blunder in decades.
All right, Katie Watson for us live in Washington. Thank you. Now, as part of the 14-point deal signed by the U.S. and Iran, both sides will commit to talks over the next 60 days to reach a final agreement. But as we've discussed here, big questions still remain over Tehran's nuclear and ballistic missile programs. Job Donnison with our partners at BBC News is following reaction from Jerusalem.
Very few people here in Israel putting a positive spin on this deal and plenty of criticism. I was just looking at the main headline in the biggest selling daily newspaper here in Israel today, and it was simply good for Iran, bad for Israel. We had the leader of the opposition, like Yair Lapid, saying that during these negotiations, Israel had been sitting in the corridor like a scolded schoolboy, saying that this whole process, the war, it had damaged relations with the United States. It's not significantly weakened Iran enough. And in fact, Iran possibly emerges in a stronger position because of the leverage it's managed to generate from the Strait of Hormuz. So Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is in a tight spot, really, because he doesn't want to further upset President Trump, and he's clearly done that in the last week or so with stark criticism really, from President Trump of Prime Minister Netanyahu, but at the same time, he's under pressure politically here to do more. So he's got elections coming up in a few months' time, and his opponents are saying, look, the war aims haven't been achieved, and we've left Israel in a weaker position. So he's trying to walk a fine line. Back to you.
Job Donnison, thank you for your reporting.